This will be a quick video illustrating how to mount and dismount the taper bushings. So we use these a lot on forest machines. For example, we have a V-belt pulley here. We want to mount it on a shaft. The conventional way to do this is using a taper bushing. So the taper bushing has a smooth bore to match the size of the shaft. It also has a very special taper here. This is not cylindrical, this is actually slightly tapered. It has a taper to match the inside of this pulley. So the tapers will only go together one way. Won't fit together at all, going the wrong way, but if you look at the correct side, it goes right together. The idea here is to lock this pulley onto a shaft solidly and to make sure it is concentric, use these bushings. And the bushings have a slot in them, and the bushing will compress. So right now, it's a slit fit on the shaft. When you push the pulley up the bushing, it compresses this taper and squeezes the bushing to grab onto the shaft. So it locks it on, you know you're concentric, you know it's not going to slide anywhere. How does this work in practice? So I've got my shaft, my bushing, screws, and my pulley. Begin by making sure you have the right side of the pulley. It'll go in, it's the right side. Then, on the bushing, in this case, different bushings may have different number of holes and be arranged differently, but they'll all have the same idea. The bushing will have smooth holes or plain through holes. It'll also have tapped holes. To mount, line up the through holes on the bushing with tapped holes on the pulley. So just lightly set that on such that it's lined up. Maybe give it a little tap just to stick it in there, because it is a wedge after all. If I give it a little push like this, now it's not coming out, just because I ever so gently push it in there. Use your screws going through the smooth holes in the bushing into the tapped holes on the pulley. I recommend you only get these started. You can have a few threads showing. Don't go all the way tight, because you don't want to compress the bushing before you're on the shaft. In most cases, you'll have a key. So you can see there's a key notch here in the bushing. The shaft I grabbed does not have a matching key seat, but most of the time you will have a key seat here on the shaft. You'll need to line that up with the key seat in the bushing and insert the appropriate key. We're skipping that step today. Slide the pulley and bushing assembly where you need it on the shaft. Now you start tightening. I'll just use a appropriately sized socket on extension just to finger tighten these down. Go around all three, get them all snug, because as you pull one down, that'll loosen the other two. Use your ratchet. Make sure you're tightening. And get them all pretty snug. Not tight, but pretty snug. There is an actual torque spec on this, but mostly what feels right probably is right. And as you tighten one, the other two will loosen. So go around several times until they all feel snug. Now, the pulley and bushing are locked onto the shaft, going nowhere. But at some point, you're going to need to take this off. Step one, remove these screws. So reverse my ratchet. And now I'm just going to speed run. We want to pull these all the way out. I'm just going to speed run them out. I should have brought some power tools with me. Now, even though we took these screws out, it is still locked on there. You've ever used a doorstop, a wedge style doorstop, and you kick the wedge under the door, it's stuck. It's stuck like chuck, it ain't coming off. To get this off, we have to push the pulley off of the bushing. So as I said before, this bushing has both smooth or through holes and tapped holes. The tapped holes are what we're going to use now. Use the same bolts, thread them into the tapped holes in the bushing flange. Sometimes you can do this with just one. Let's see if I get lucky. Sometimes you can do this with just one bolt. Run it in until it hits bottom. And so the bolt is threading through this flange and it's hitting a flat, not a hole, it's hitting the flat surface of the pulley here. Tighten this bolt, and it will now, by tightening this bolt, it'll push this pulley away from the flange of the bushing. And now it all comes apart. That is how you use taper bushings to mount pulleys, gears, sprockets onto shafts. If you have any questions, please feel free to call or email us at Forest Manufacturing. Thank you.